Many people wonder, what if aging isn't a sentence, but merely a consequence of a lack of activity? As the years pass, we are convinced that decline is inevitable. But what if there is a way to check the true biological age of your body? Not by the date on your passport, but by its actual capabilities. This video will explore 7 movements that serve as litmus tests for biological youth. If a person is still able to perform them, their body is likely aging much slower than most. These movements test strength, coordination, flexibility, and stability, revealing much about future independence. However, there's a catch. According to statistics, 97% of Russians over 65 cannot perform all 7 exercises. Not because they are lazy, but because they haven't been told which abilities are particularly important and how quickly they are lost if not used. However, if a person can still do at least 1 or 2 of them, they may be in much better shape than they think. Therefore, it's important to stay with us until the end. This list is not just a test, but a reminder. Many signs of age-related decline can be slowed, reversed, or even prevented with the right habits. The body remembers. It just needs a chance to show it. The first indicator is getting up from the floor without using your hands. This is one of the most obvious signs of youth after 60. The ability to rise from the floor without using your hands is not just an exercise. It's a test of strength. This movement involves not only the legs. It requires core engagement, balance, hip flexibility, and the coordinated work of all body systems. It's not about speed or grace, but about control. Can a person lower themselves to the floor and then stand up using only their legs and core muscles? If the answer is yes, their body is functioning significantly better than most of their peers. Consider the story of Victor, a 78-year-old resident of Tula. He fell in his dacha during a family picnic, sustaining no injuries, but was unable to get up without help. He had to roll and crawl. Later he admitted, "I was scared not by the fall, but by the fact that I couldn't get up myself." Since then, he has practiced getting up from a sitting position every morning. After a few weeks, he could do it again. Slowly, but surely, and without assistance. The ability to get up from the floor is not just about independence, it's about survival. Older people who cannot get up after a fall are at high risk of complications, not because of injuries, but because of the time it takes to wait for help. To perform this movement, 3 things are needed: strong quadriceps, flexible hip and knee joints, and good balance. If at least one of these factors deteriorates, the movement becomes difficult or impossible. But the good news is that even if this skill has been lost, it can be restored. Start with basic movements. Squat, touching your buttocks to a low chair, then slowly rise. It is recommended to use a soft mat to protect the knee joints. Gradually build muscle strength, and over time, lost abilities will return. The point is not to impress others, but to gain confidence in your own body. After all, once a person realizes that they can get up from the floor on their own, they stop fearing falls, which is liberating and radically changes life. The second indicator is the ability to stand on one leg for 10 seconds without assistance. This exercise may seem simple, but the ability to maintain balance for 10 seconds is a surprisingly accurate indicator of physical condition. This seemingly simple movement tests many things: the strength of the core muscles, the stability of the ankle joints, neuromuscular coordination, and, importantly, balance reflexes. If you can perform this exercise without swaying or unnecessary movements, it indicates that your body still remembers how to stabilize itself in space. This is a skill that is often lost unnoticed with age. It is important not just to stand still, but to pay attention to how the body reacts to barely noticeable fluctuations and shifts that the muscles make to maintain a vertical position. These microscopic adjustments occur in the feet, shins, pelvis, and back. If they still work in harmony, it means that the nervous system interacts well with the muscular system. Tatiana, a 74-year-old resident of Yekaterinburg, said that she used to brush her teeth while standing on one leg just for fun, but over time noticed a decline in balance and stopped doing it. Later, after including balance exercises in her daily routine, she regained confidence. "I didn't realize how much I missed that feeling of stability," she shared. Many people do not know that impaired balance is one of the main precursors to falls in old age. However, even training it for a few seconds a day can strengthen the vital systems that support stability. Want to test yourself safely? Stand next to a countertop or sturdy chair. Lift one leg a few inches off the ground with your arms at your sides. If you can stand for 10 seconds without touching anything for support, you're ahead of most of your peers. If you can't yet, don't despair. Balance improves quickly with regular training. Start with support and then gradually reduce it. Try doing the exercise barefoot to strengthen your feet. Shift your weight from one foot to the other. Even standing on a folded towel activates stabilizing muscles that may not have been used for years. And the benefit here is not only physical. When a person feels balanced, they move through life with greater confidence. They begin to trust themselves. And this inner peace is reflected in everything, in their gait, in their turns, in their reaction to unexpected changes. So if a person can stand on one leg for 10 seconds or is working to regain that skill, they are doing much more than just training their balance. They are building stability where it matters most. The third indicator is the ability to climb stairs without stopping or using support. If a person can easily climb a flight of stairs without using the railing or pausing to catch their breath, this is one of the most accurate indicators of excellent cardiovascular health, leg strength, and coordination. Climbing stairs may seem like a mundane activity at first glance, but it is actually a complex physical task. The heart must efficiently pump blood, and the lungs must provide the body with the necessary amount of oxygen. The quadriceps, calves, glutes, and hip flexors must work in harmony, and the brain must continuously adjust balance with each step. Most elderly people slow down when climbing stairs not because of laziness, but because one or more systems in the body begin to weaken. Imperceptibly. That is why this indicator is so useful. If a person can climb stairs without railings and pauses, it indicates the coordinated and efficient functioning of their body. The author knew a man he often met at the local center. Mikhail was 81 years old. He always climbed the stairs, skipping a step. One day, the author asked him why he didn't use the elevator. Mikhail smiled and replied, "If I stop climbing now, I'll forget how to do it." He saw it as a daily reminder to himself that he was still capable of difficult things. And that's a powerful mindset, especially in old age. It is worth clarifying that using the railing is not a failure, but being able to do without it is already an indicator. If a person confidently climbs without support, it says a lot about their strength and balance. If it doesn't work yet, training will help restore systems that lose efficiency with age. You need to start by strengthening key muscles. Bodyweight squats, step-ups onto a low step. And standing up from a chair without using your hands are all good options. Gradually increase the number of stair climbs. First, hold on to the railing, and as confidence grows, rely on it less and less. And don't forget about breathing. If a person is out of breath after just a few steps, it's a sign that their heart and lungs need regular exercise. Walking, especially brisk walking, is a great way to develop the stamina needed for climbing stairs. Stairs are one of the last true tests of physical independence. They are found in homes every day, and the ability to cope with them means that a person can live safely and confidently without assistance. So the next time you climb stairs, whether it's 3 steps or a whole flight, listen to your body. Are you stable, strong? Is your breathing normal? If so, it's not just fitness, it's functional youth, and that's something to be proud of. The fourth indicator is repeated chair rises without using your hands for support. At first glance, this seems like an elementary action, but the ability to repeatedly sit down and stand up from a chair without using your hands indicates your strength and independence more than perhaps any other test. Why is that? Because this movement is an integral part of our daily lives. Getting up from the toilet, getting up from the sofa, sitting down at the table. Most people take all these moments for granted until one day they find it impossible to do them without using their hands for support or leaning forward significantly. If you can stand up from a chair using only the strength of your legs, it indicates that you have strong quadriceps, a stable core, flexible hip joints, and good coordination. In addition, it reduces the likelihood of falls during transitional movements, the very moments that most often lead to injuries. The author once worked with an elderly man named Robert, 83 years old, from Krasnodar. He shared, "I'm not afraid of old age. I just don't want to ask for help to get up." They conducted a test to see how many sit-to-stands he could do without using his hands in 30 seconds. At first it was only 3, but after a few weeks of daily training, it increased to 10. But most importantly, he became less afraid to leave the house. "Now I know I can get up, even if I sit down somewhere," he said, and that is true freedom. This test is easy to do at home. Sit on a sturdy chair, place your feet flat on the floor, and cross your arms over your chest. Try to stand up completely, then sit back down slowly without using your hands. Can you do this 5 times in a row, or even better, 10? If so, you're ahead of most of your peers. And if it's difficult, don't despair. It's not a sign of failure, it's your starting point. You can start with supported squats, slow descents onto a cushion, or just do 1 or 2 sit-to-stands a day. You will improve over time. This isn't fitness for fitness's sake. It's about regaining control over your own life. The ability to stand up from a chair is not just about safety, it's about confidence. It means you live without constantly wondering, what if I can't get up? And confidence in your body, especially after 70 or 80 years old, is one of the most underestimated sources of joy. So whether you can do it now or are just starting your journey, every time you stand up without using your hands, you are fighting for your independence. The 5th indicator is the ability to touch your toes without bending your knees. It may seem surprising, but if a person can bend over and touch their toes while keeping their legs straight, it indicates not only flexibility, but also the preservation of youthful mobility, which most people lose by the age of 60. This isn't just an acrobatic trick or a memory from school gym class. It's a demonstration of functional flexibility. When a person reaches for their toes, they are simultaneously assessing the condition of their hamstrings, calf muscles, lower back, and spinal mobility. It also tests the connection between the brain and the body. How freely do the muscles stretch? How easily does the spine bend without resistance? How confidently does the person return to an upright position without losing balance? Nina, a 77-year-old resident of Voronezh, shared that she hadn't tried to touch her toes in over 2 decades. One day, out of curiosity, she decided to try. "I couldn't reach all the way," she said, "but I got past my knees, and now I stretch every day to see if I can go a little further." After 2 months, her fingers were touching the tops of her feet. "It's not about showing off," she added, "but about knowing that I can still move." Stiff tendons, a tense back, or a constricted nervous system can limit this movement. And when flexibility begins to decline, it affects all aspects of life. It becomes harder to bend over to tie shoelaces, pick up objects from the floor, or get in and out of a car. If a person can touch their toes, they should cherish that ability. It is recommended to stretch every day, breathing deeply during the movement. This helps the body realize that it is still safe to move fully. If you can't do it yet, don't despair. Stand up straight, slowly bend over, and stop at the point where you feel natural resistance. Progress is achieved not by force, but by patient repetition. It's important to remember that flexibility is not just about the body, but also about the spirit. People who maintain physical mobility are more likely to be open-minded, curious, and easily adapt to changes in life. Thus, regardless of whether a person can touch their toes or only their shins, the true value lies in the movement itself. It's a message to the body. I still want to move. I still want to bend. I still want to live in this body fully and freely. The 6th indicator offered for assessing physical condition is the ability to carry a heavy bag of groceries for 1 minute. This task involves not just lifting a light bag, but holding and moving a load, such as a full bag of groceries, without stopping, changing the position of your hands, or shifting the weight. Successfully completing this test indicates good physical condition, which implies a healthy aging process. This test is a comprehensive check that involves grip strength, forearm endurance, shoulder girdle stability, and core control. All of these physical parameters typically begin to decline after the age of 60 if they are not maintained at the proper level. However, it's not just about the muscles. Carrying heavy objects also tests the ability to stabilize posture under load, which is a challenge for the respiratory system, proper spinal alignment, and balance during movement. Few people know that grip strength is one of the most accurate predictors of longevity. This is due not only to the visual aspect, but also to the fact that it reflects the integrity of the nervous system and muscle coordination. The author of the article gives a real-life example. Lyudmila, a 70-year-old from Nizhny Novgorod, complained that she had started dropping things frequently, which made her clumsy. After testing her grip strength and doing daily exercises, including squeezing, short carries, and wringing out towels by hand, her strength returned. Lyudmila noted that she didn't realize how much she depended on her hands until they started to fail her. For self-testing at home, it is recommended to fill a regular bag with groceries or bottles with a total weight of approximately 4 to 6 kilograms, about 9 to 13 pounds. Then, start a timer, lift the bag with one hand, and walk around the room or simply stand upright. If you can hold the bag for 60 seconds without dropping, lowering, or shaking your hand, it indicates your body's ability to carry a load, which is an important skill for independent living. If you find it difficult to perform the test, it is recommended to start with a lower weight and gradually increase the load, training for short periods of time. The ability to carry heavy objects is important not only for shopping trips. It is a skill that is needed in everyday life, taking out the trash, lifting a laundry basket, or holding a grandchild. When a person confidently copes with this task, they feel more free and confident in the world around them. Every step with a heavy load reminds the body of its stability. It is not just movement, it is a confirmation of the body's strength and ability, which proves that strength does not have to disappear, it just needs to be used. The seventh indicator is a flawless bodyweight squat. If a person can perform a deep squat, keeping their feet on the floor, knees aligned, chest open, and then smoothly rise without rocking or leaning on their thighs, they demonstrate a skill that many of their peers have already lost. The deep squat is not without reason called the king of movements. It comprehensively engages the ankles, knees, hip joints, spine, core muscles, and even the feet in one coordinated movement. This is not just a fitness test, but an indicator of a person's physical readiness for everyday tasks, picking something up from the ground, bending over, squatting, standing up. This exercise also allows you to assess the condition of the joints and muscle balance. If the hip joints are stiff, the knees are weak, or the lower back is tense, the squat will immediately reveal these problems. That is why it is considered such an indicative indicator. In addition, it is a kind of forecast of longevity and mobility. Those who maintain the ability to deep squat tend to remain independent longer and are less likely to experience lower body injuries as they age. I recall a case with 73-year-old Anatoly from Perm, who had difficulty getting in and out of the car. His daughter suggested that he do squats, leaning on the kitchen countertop. At first, he could barely lower himself halfway, but within a few weeks, his strength and flexibility increased noticeably. I didn't realize how much I avoided bending and flexing, he shared, and now I don't even think about it. To test your abilities, stand with your feet shoulder-width apart. Keeping your heels on the floor, slowly bend your knees and move your pelvis back as if sitting on an invisible chair. Lower yourself as low as possible, maintaining control. Then smoothly rise. Can you do this without pain, without leaning forward, and without using your hands? If the answer is yes, then you are ahead of many. If not, then the ability to deep squat can be restored. Start with partial squats. Place a sturdy chair behind you. Lower yourself to it and rise without using your hands. The key factor here is the flexibility of the hip and ankle joints, as well as the strength of the thighs and glutes. Gentle stretches, step-ups, and chair squats will help create a solid foundation. And the most amazing thing is how one movement affects everyday life. From working in the garden to taking a bath, from cleaning to playing with grandchildren on the floor. It all starts with the ability to squat. So don't think that squats are only for athletes. They are for everyone who strives to live a full life, move confidently, and, one might say, age in reverse. After all, when a person is still able to easily lower and raise their body, they not only maintain mobility, but they also regain it. In conclusion, it's time to summarize. How many of the proposed 7 exercises were you able to complete? Which one was the most difficult? What, conversely, instilled hope, showing that the body's capabilities are much broader than it seemed? It's important to remember that this is not a test of success. It's more of an awakening. It's a quiet reminder that aging is a gradual process, dependent on our habits, decisions, and how much we stimulate the body to move, adapt, and stay active. Even if most of the exercises prove to be beyond your abilities today, it's not a sentence. The human body, even at 60, 70, or 80 years old, has an amazing ability to change. Often it only requires gentle but regular movement in the right direction. Perhaps it's worth starting small, getting up from a chair without using your hands, trying to stand on one leg while brushing your teeth, or simply walking around the room with a small bag for 30 seconds. These simple actions are not just physical activity. They are a way to send an important signal to the body. The author believes in this and continues to believe in everyone. Because by challenging oneself, even in small things, a person chooses life instead of stagnation, activity instead of fading away, and a fulfilling old age instead of just a long existence. Unfortunately, most people do not receive information about what to pay attention to in order to meet old age with dignity. That is why this video was created, to provide a clear, encouraging, and realistic way to assess the current state and determine further steps. Therefore, perceive this list as support, not as a verdict. Your body may be far from ideal, but if it is willing to try, that is already enough.